I was scared, you guys. I was like, what if this isn't reversible? What if something serious is going on that's like way worse than ADHD? I'm screwed. I'm screwed. I can kiss medical school goodbye at this rate. Hello, my name is Michelle. Welcome to my channel if you are new here. And if you're returning, welcome back. Today we'll be talking about ADHD and specifically my ADHD. This month is ADHD Awareness Month, and so I'll also be talking about some assumptions that I've noticed that people have of people with ADHD.
So the assumption part of this video will actually be posted as its own video this Friday at 2 p.m. as part 2 because this video was already so dang long.
So yes, enjoy. The first descriptions of children with ADHD was made in 1902 by Sir George Frederick, and since then ADHD has been pretty heavily researched.
Hey, it's me again. I had to hop back on here because while editing I realized that not everyone has a background on ADHD, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of diagnosis and symptoms. So to be diagnosed with ADHD, your symptoms have to have been present for at least 6 months, and before the age of 12, it has to impede on your quality of life, your ability to be productive and functioning in at least 2 environments. So that can be anything from school to church to work. So ADHD symptoms are generally divided into 2 categories because there are 3 presentations. So there's inattention, hyperactivity, and combined type. To be diagnosed with inattention or hyperactivity, you have to have at least 5 symptoms from their respective lists, and to be diagnosed with combined, you need at least 5 symptoms from both lists.
I am one of many who think that the term attention deficit disorder is very misleading. It's not that we can't pay attention or we have a deficit in attention. It's more so we have difficulties regulating our attention. Oftentimes the kid or adult who isn't paying attention to something is usually very hyper-focused on something else. And that's why they're not paying attention. So if anything, we have too much attention. We pay too much attention to certain things. So I was diagnosed with ADHD May of this year. Prior to that, I actually found out about ADHD a month before my diagnosis, and it was completely by accident. I was on YouTube searching up videos on productivity and time management, and How to ADHD's video popped up, and it was, I can't remember the title, but it had to do with like how to be productive with ADHD. I watched the video and I related to literally everything she said about ADHD, and although I didn't find the tip helpful because it was things that I was already doing, and my issue wasn't the technique, it was really the inability to focus part that really was hindering me from moving forward with my goals. The more I watched videos on ADHD, the more I realized that this is something that I probably have. And after a couple of days of doing research, I set up an appointment with my clinical psychologist and my primary care doctor. I went to the clinical psychologist for my diagnosis. I know that my regular doctor could have diagnosed me, but I was looking for a very specific type of evaluation, a more comprehensive one, because I knew that if I did have ADHD, I would need that if I was ever to use it on the MCAT or schools, or when applying to schools. And so I just went ahead and did the more complex testing. When I got to my clinical psychologist for my appointment, one of the first things that we did was a comprehensive psychological evaluation. And that was to rule out any possibility of other illnesses and disorders. After that, we did an ADHD and executive functioning evaluation, and that is how I found out that I have ADHD. The reason why I was on YouTube in the first place looking for videos on time management and productivity was because I was stuck. I was very, very stuck in multiple parts of my life. I was stuck in my career, I was stuck in my education, and I was stuck in my personal life in different ways, which I'm gonna explain. But so for my career, I started a new job fall of 2020, and at this job, this was my first real adult job, and so I was very excited. I was very confident that I could do the work that I was hired to do. I got along with the coworkers. I loved them. I still do. I was doing a good job. Like, the job was challenging, but it was also something that I thought I was capable of doing. I still am very passionate about the work that I do, and I love the work that I do. I love the people. I love that I could work remotely. Like, this was a nice job. This is a nice job. And everything was going well all throughout the end of 2020. January 2021 was when things started to go downhill, and they went downhill pretty fast due to me struggling at work, but also with my personal life and my academic life.
Hey guys, it's future editing Michelle. I had to hop on here because I realized I didn't really explain what I meant by struggling in my career life. And so what I meant by that is that come January of this year, earlier this year, 2021, I was struggling to find the will to get things done. I was still getting them done. It's just, it was hard. It got harder and harder to do. And over time, even the things that I like to do became work. I wasn't enjoying it as much. And so that was really hard to do.
On the academic front, around the same time that I started this job, I also started studying for the MCAT. And with the MCAT, I made a schedule. I made multiple schedules, but I made schedules, and I was finding that I was having trouble sticking to any of them. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing it, it was more so because I wasn't able to stay as focused as I needed to be. By that I mean I would sit down and study for 6 hours at a time, but really when I added up the amount of time that I was able to focus on my work and do my work, it averaged around like 3 hours. Some days it was less, some days it was more, but usually it wasn't more than like 3.5 on like an amazing day, 4 hours. And so it got to the point where I started falling behind on my schedules, and it was because I wasn't covering enough material in that short span of time. There was a lot that I needed to do, content review, all that jazz, and questions and a bunch of stuff. But I wasn't able to keep up with the volume of material that I needed to do, because I had to reread things multiple times to really understand what it is I'm reading. Like, I'm a fast reader, and so I find that when I like speed through it afterwards, I'm like, wait, what did I just read? I don't know if it's because my brain is like needs time to catch up, or if it's because I'm forgetting what I read. At that point, I'm not too sure looking back on it. I found that pushing past that 3 to 4 hour mark took a lot of effort, and it was not effective. I would spend most of that time trying to rein my attention back into the work at hand or to stay focused. And so I wasn't really focusing on the material as well as I was during that first 3 to 4 hours. And I also realized over time that it was taking a toll on me, forcing myself to go past my limits. And what would happen the next day is that I would be burnt out. I wouldn't be able to focus well at all, even during the first 3 to 4 hours. And so I had to stop doing that. But the fact that I could only focus for 3 to 4 hours per day really stressed me out. It made me very anxious because I knew that the MCAT is 6 to 7.5 hours long, and I needed to be able to focus for at least 7.5 hours to ensure that I could take the test and actually have a chance at doing well at it. And so I spent a lot of weeks, a lot of nights just thinking about it and trying to find ways around it, trying to find different ways to study, and nothing really worked. And I was stuck. In terms of my personal life, I found that I was struggling to establish a daily routine post-graduation. So I've been in school since I was 3. And so from ever since I could remember, my schedule has always revolved around school. And I didn't realize how much I needed a schedule until I graduated, you guys. It was rough. I'm the type of person that if I don't have to-do lists, if I don't have a set schedule that I can depend on, my brain is confused. It doesn't know what to do first, and it just takes a lot of effort and decision making to figure it out. I need routines, I need schedules, I need to-do lists, or else my brain is a jumbled mess. I will spend the whole day thinking about which one I should do, what thing I should do first, and then end up not doing very much at all. I find that time runs much faster when I don't know what I'm doing ahead of time. So yeah, scheduling was something that I didn't have but desperately needed at the time, especially with a new job and studying for the MCAT and managing those two with my personal life. It was just, life was kicking my butt. The second thing that I really struggled with in my personal life was my memory. My memory has never been great. I was always the kid that when your family leaves the house and everyone gets in the car, I was always the one that had to do the mad dash back inside to get that one thing that I forgot. It happened like clockwork every single time. I would try to plan out what I need and make sure I have everything, but there was always something that was missing. I could never just get in the car and go. I was also forgetful in the sense that when I would go from the living room to my room upstairs and climb those stairs and get to the top, oftentimes when I got to the top, I didn't know what I was there for. I would forget. And all it took was me just standing there and thinking about it a little bit more and just letting it come back to me. And it would. That is how it's always been for me. I didn't think anything of it before because, well, no, that's a lie. I did think that was strange. I used to wonder if I had some type of early onset Alzheimer or something similar that was the reason for my memory loss, but I looked it up and it said it was pretty rare for people who are in their teens, so I brushed that off. I've also always been the type of person that zones out a lot in conversation sometimes and often in class. I never notice when I'm zoning out. It's usually afterwards that I'm like, oh wow, I just zoned out. It's something I've gotten better at preventing. Nowadays, when I feel like I'm gonna zone out or I get this feeling, it's hard to explain because when I feel like I'm about to zone out, it's usually I start thinking about other things. That's how I know, but it's not something that I have to think about. I just sometimes can catch it. And what I usually do is I either start taking notes if I'm in class or in a meeting, or I go on my phone if I'm talking to somebody and kind of like just play a little game like with my hands. It keeps my hands busy and it keeps me present. I'm giving all these examples because during this time, my memory was so much worse than what I just described. It was really bad. It actually really scared me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was terrified because I felt like I was losing my mind. I would go upstairs to get something, and then once I got there, I would wait like I usually do, and nothing, not a single thing would come back to me. I would have to, as I'm going up those stairs, think about what I'm going up there to get repeatedly as I'm going up the stairs. And I say repeatedly because oftentimes in my head, like, I have different thoughts going on at the same time. Another hallmark of ADHD. But I would have to like really try to hold whatever I'm going upstairs to get in my head, or I would forget it. And so that's just what I had to do during that time. And it was really sad, and it was scary, and it was draining. Another thing that would happen is that I would have a conversation with someone, for example, my mom. Like, I would have a conversation with my mom, and 3 minutes later, I couldn't recall half the conversation. Like, I didn't know what we were talking about. I couldn't remember the specifics, the details of something that had just happened. And that also freaked me out to hell and beyond. My shitty memory was the reason why I ended up getting diagnosed so quickly. As soon as I found out what ADHD was, I set up that appointment quick as hell because I was scared, you guys. I was like, what if this isn't reversible? What if something serious is going on that's like way worse than ADHD? I'm screwed. I'm screwed. I can kiss medical school goodbye at this rate. So yeah, that was the main reason why I was so quick to make that appointment. But yeah, that is my story on how I discovered ADHD and how that led to me getting diagnosed. That is it for today. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around this long and watching all of this. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and stick around for part 2 if you really enjoyed this, or if you found me entertaining or learned something. Just subscribe, stick around. I'd love to have you here. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one.